Lil Durk, the Chicago rap boss who built OTF from the ground up, hit rock bottom in court this week due to the type of charges he's facing, apologizing directly to Quando Rondo after years of street drama betrayal from his own crew and facing a murder for hire charge. Durk finally cracked, showing a side no one expected. But the real twist, Q's reply that left everyone stunned. Lil Durk earns Quando Rondo's forgiveness. When it comes to hip-hop beef, Chicago rapper Lil Durk and Jorg's Quando Rondo have had one of the heaviest stories in the game. What started as street-level drama has become a national case, landing Durk in federal custody over some serious charges. It all went down in August 2022, when Quando Rondo and his cousin Savalab Robinson were sitting in a black Cadillac Escalade parked up at a gas station near LA's Beverly Center. Out of nowhere, gunshots erupted, and LPB, just 24 years old, was left fighting for his life. He didn't make it. And Quando, who managed to walk away from the scene unscathed, watched his cousin pass away at the hospital. Word on the street was the attack wasn't random. People connected it back to the infamous night in November 2020, when Q's crew and Durk's crew met face-to-face in Atlanta, leading to the death of Durk's close friend and OTF member King Bao. The video footage from that night shows King Bao throwing hands at Quando, setting off a chain of gunfire that left Vaughn dead, and the hip-hop world shook. Quando's side called it self-defense, and he even dropped a track called End of Story to address it. But Durk's camp wasn't buying it, and many said it was only a matter of time before somebody got revenge. Durk's crew, only the family. OTF goes beyond music. It's a close-knit unit with roots and Chicago's black disciples. And Durk has long been the one calling the shots. He's made a name off his street ties and deep loyalty to his people, especially King Von, who was like a brother to him. To Durk, Von wasn't just another artist. He was family, someone he mentored and brought up under OTF. When V died, that loyalty ran even deeper, and prosecutors say Durk put a bounty on Quando and his circle. Payback, according to the FBI. Durk allegedly planned and financed the hit that led to LPO's death. Court docs show he supposedly used coded messages to send out the order, setting up his people to take care of the job. 5 of his crew members, all part of OTF, are also under arrest, charged with everything from murder for hire to firearms violations. They allegedly flew out to booked hotels, got ski masks, and staked out Quando and Lulab, all on Ott's dime. When Durk tried to bounce from the country last Thursday, the FBI was already on him. They caught him near Miami International Airport, reportedly trying to board one of several international flights he booked in the days before Durk's plan, if he had one, didn't go through, and he's now waiting to be transferred to LA to face the charges. With all the drama and pain surrounding this case, many fans expected Quando to come out with a response full of heat. Instead, he took a surprising turn, posting on Instagram with a message of forgiveness and hope. The timing caught everyone off guard. While promoting his new single, Life Goes On, Q's words reflected a __ shift in mindset. He wrote, "We didn't get into this music industry to make it just to stay caught up in street. We all have families and communities counting on us. It's time to leave all that behind." He continued, "We've already lost so much, and it's heavy on my heart to forgive anyone I had issues with in the past. It's all love from me, praying for everyone." For Quando, losing Lob was a wake-up call. He's been through his share of loss, but this was something that hit him on a different level, with Durk facing trial and Quo's own path tied up in street beef. He seems ready to put it all behind him and start fresh, and life goes on. He even addresses the gang wars that have taken so many lives, spitting young and around here beefing about the color of a bandana. "That's why I put my flag down and I picked up a Quran. Because life goes on for both Durk and Quando. Loyalty has always been at the center of their lives." Durk's bond with King Bao wasn't just about music, it was about family. The kind of relationship you can't fake. Durk called Bao his twin and baby bro, and they shared not only stages, but also street cred. Quando, on the other hand, has been repping his team and standing his ground even when the stakes were high. But now, with lives lost and legacies on the line, Q's message suggests he wants out of the cycle. He's made it clear he doesn't want his career to be defined by violence or the streets. and he's calling for peace where most expected retaliation. Meanwhile, Lil Durk had also been making moves to leave the streets behind for a minute now, and it looked like he finally had his past cleaned up just a few weeks before his arrest. He was telling fans how grateful he was to get a fresh start, even saying his criminal record had been wiped and he wasn't a felon anymore. But just when it seemed he was on a straight path, his past caught up with him in a way no one expected. On September 22nd, Durk went public about his second chance, thanking everyone who had his back while he was working to clear his name. He even dropped a praise be to God on X, formerly Twitter, telling fans, everybody should get second chances at life. It's about what you do with it. Alhamdulillah, my background wiped and clean of all cases. I ain't a felon anymore. Who would have thought for a man who's been dealing with the streets his whole life? This was big news. Durk wasn't just talking. He was out there showing people that change was possible. This wasn't the first time he'd fought to break free from his past. Durk's journey has been all over the place, from cases related to a 2019 shooting that had people talking nonstop to run-ins that could have easily ended his career for years. He was painted as a street rapper with a criminal record to back it up. But Durk kept saying he was innocent, and after years of dragging through the courts, the charges finally got dropped last October. His lawyer Manny Arora said it himself. While it is unfortunate that it took so long to reach the conclusion that we had argued from day one, I'm glad that all involved can now move on. Durk was doing everything to show he was on a new path. He'd even started talking about staying sober, which was no small thing coming from a guy who used to lean on codeine and Xanax to get through. Back in June, when the paparazzi caught him in Malibu, Durk admitted he was done letting drugs run his life. He was ready to embrace a new role, one where he could talk to people about staying clean, finding purpose, and pushing past the life he grew up in. But now, just when it seemed he'd made it out, federal charges dropped on him like a hammer. The charges are heavy, and if convicted, he could face a long stretch behind bars. The case against Lil Durk. Since day one, Durk's been repping his crew OTF as both his music family and some say his street family. OTF, or only the family, has been central to his music career and image, but it looks like the feds believe Ott's activities run deeper than just music. They say it's a straight-up gang, with Durk at the top, directing his team to handle beef the street way. According to the feds, this isn't just about music, but about street credibility and survival, with Durk allegedly calling out hits to secure OTF's spot in the game. The target, a rival in the rap game known as Quando Rondo, who had been beefing with Durk and OTF for a while. This beef apparently isn't new. Word on the street and records show Quando Rondo's been at odds with Durk since 2020, when Quando Rondo's crew allegedly killed Durk's close friend, OTF rapper King Von. The feds say this made it personal for Durk, and he supposedly wanted Quando Rondo gone bad enough to put up money to make it happen. Fast forward to August 18, 2022, prosecutors say Durk sent his hitters out to Los Angeles on a one-way ticket paid for by credit cards linked to him and OTF. This wasn't just a last-minute beef. They had a plan. These weren't random street dudes either. The team that flew out included known OTF members and allies from other Chicago sets. Durk's right-hand man, known in the indictment as co-conspirator 3, allegedly set up the flights using credit cards tied back to Durk and OTF's business manager. As for Durk, he flew out on a private jet with another OTF hitter allegedly the night before the hit was supposed to go down. This was coordinated effort with everyone knowing their role. They had hotel rooms, booked, rented cars, and even bought ski masks. Everything they'd need to get the job done. The next day, August 19th, the whole crew was in place. Durk's team allegedly found Quando Rondo's location thanks to another OTF affiliate who had the drop on it. It all went down at a gas station near the Beverly Center in LA, a spot where a lot of big names roll through, making it a bold move. Durk's crew followed Quando Rondo black Cadillac Escalade for hours, tracking his every move, biding their time. Then they pulled up with 2 cars ready to finish the job. Surveillance footage from the scene shows 2 vehicles on Quando Rondo tail, a white BMW and a white Infiniti. The Infiniti pulled up behind the gas station, and 3 shooters, all wearing black masks, got out. They walked right up, pulled out their guns, and started firing. In total, They let off 18 shots at the Escalade. Unfortunately, they missed Quando Rondo, but they hit Quando Rondo's cousin, killing him on the spot after the hit. Durk's team didn't just bounce. Instead, they made their way to an in-and-out inlet showing no signs of slowing down. Surveillance footage at the restaurant captured them chilling out grabbing food, almost like it was business as usual. This is where law enforcement started putting names to faces. Durk's top guys like Grant driving one of the cars, and other associates who had fired the shots were all identified through the footage. But the evidence didn't stop at video. When investigators started digging into financial records, flight logs, and text messages, a whole trail allegedly led right back to Durk. The feds found text messages showing Durk's phone number hitting up his people. About the trip, one message sent to co-conspirator 3 said, "Don't book no flights under no names involving with me." And when those flights and hotels got paid for, the credit card transactions pointed right to an OTF account connected to Durk. Prosecutors say Durk was so hands-on that he didn't just pay for the flights, but allegedly knew all the moves being made when his people booked the shooter's return flights to Chicago right after the hit. They used that same OTF-linked card. It was all part of what the feds say was a hit financed and run by Durk himself. Durk might have thought he tied up loose ends, but the feds were already one step ahead after investigating for months. They locked up Grant, Wilson Jones, Lindsay, and Houston, all key players in the operation. And once they had these guys in cuffs, the feds say Durk was already plotting his escape. They claim he booked 3-way international flights in under 24 hours, one to Dubai, one to Switzerland, and a private jet to Italy. Law enforcement nabbed him before he could take off. The whole scene was like a movie. The FBI catching Durk right at the airport before he could board that last flight out. Durk's crew is already facing a list of charges from conspiracy to commit murder for hire to firearms violations. As for Durk, he's been labeled co-conspirator 1, the alleged mastermind behind the whole thing. If the feds have their way, Durk could be looking at serious time. This case is shaking up both the streets and the industry. Durk's rise to fame was all about turning street credibility into a career. But now the very world that got him famous might be the one that takes him down. If the allegations stick, it could be a long time before we hear new music from Lil Durk, and a reminder that in this life, there's no escaping the streets. However, one of the real shockers in the case against Lil Durk is the belief that one of his own allegedly gave the rapper away to the feds. Lil Durk faces betrayal by OTF member. Lil Durk has always been about loyalty, standing by those who came up with him in the streets and later in his music career. But his recent arrest on federal murder for hire charges exposed hard truth. Loyalty doesn't always go both ways. Durk's recent arrest on murder for hire charges hit fans hard. But the real shocker, one of his own, known as OTF Jam, was reportedly acting as an informant, wearing a wire, and feeding intel to the feds for years. Lil Durk built only the family OTF from the ground up, making it more than a label. It's a lifestyle. Founded in 2010. OTF started as a group of day one homies, ride or die brothers from Chicago who came up in the trenches together. Durk turned OTF into something real, where loyalty meant everything, and anyone repping the name knew they had each other's backs over time. Durk's loyalty paid off, turning OTF into a powerhouse in both the rap game and the streets through countless ups and downs. He kept his word, looking out for his people. Even as fame and money rolled in, Durk's dedication wasn't just a business move, it was personal. He was tight with King Bao, his OTF twin, who was gunned down in 2020, and his loyalty to Vaughn fueled Durk's passion for keeping OTF solid, which was why he allegedly ordered a retaliation that has now led to his arrest. His whole brand was about sticking to his roots, staying true to the crew that came up with him. So when it came to his people, Durk believed in them, trusted them. He treated OTF like family, thinking that trust went both ways. Turns out that the loyalty wasn't mutual. Because of renowned member OTF Jam allegedly flipped words come out that Jam, a longtime OTF member, was secretly working with the feds, wearing a wire for years, and handing them info straight from the inside. Jam was no random dude either. He was one of Durk's people, someone close enough to catch all the details, all the trust, and now all the dirt. The rumors say that right after he got out of prison in 2022, Jam went from being OTF to being straight up informant. It's looking like he'd been keeping tabs on Durk and his moves for a while, feeding everything back to the feds in exchange for who knows what kind of deal. Meanwhile, when Jam got out of prison after a 12-year stint, Durk hooked him up right. He gave him money, reportedly $150K, and even bought him a car, showing everyone that he was down to give second chances. Jam had been around since Ott's early days, so Durk figured he'd hold it down for the team. After all, it wasn't just about loyalty and words. Durk put his money where his mouth was, investing in his people and helping them get back on their feet. Like, you know what I'm saying? He said, Jam, get out that jam. I give him 50. He ain't got to again, bro, like, said he ain't got to acto. He said he gave you 50, bro. You know what, say, Durk really thought Jam was going to stay solid, especially after everything they'd been through. Jam even talked about how Durk's music was a big deal for him during his time locked up, keeping him connected to his old life, giving him hope. Durk wanted to see him succeed and didn't just hand him cash. He put him in a position to thrive. But now it's looking like that trust was misplaced. People are asking, why would Jam turn on Durk after everything he did for him? Some say Jam felt he wasn't getting enough from Durk after his release. Rumors have been floating that Jam tried reaching out to Durk for more help, like legal fees and support. But when those calls went unanswered, his loyalty wavered. Jam's baby mama reportedly even tried to reach Durk for assistance, but when he didn't respond, things got heated in his mind. Jam might have felt like Durk owed him, and when he didn't get what he wanted, he decided to take matters into his own hands. This rumor was also confirmed by Trenches, who supposedly told DJ Academics during their stream that OTF Jam felt Durk owed him, noting, if you participate in a crime, you got to feed the killers, man, you got to feed them all. Whether this was personal or a calculated move for his freedom, the betrayal is hitting Durk harder than any outside enemy ever could. There's also talk that the feds used Jam's legal situation as leverage, getting him to cooperate to avoid more time behind bars after a 12-year stretch. It's possible Jam didn't want to risk going back and flipping on Durk. Could have seemed like a way out either way. His decision to betray someone who put faith and money into him makes Jam's motives look cold, like he was more about himself than OTF. Interestingly, Durk got a heads up about watching his people from none other than 50 Cent recently. 50 went on The Breakfast Club and dropped some insight, talking about how he warned Durk to keep his circle tight and be careful who he trusted. They'd worked together on Power Book Ivor Force, and 50 noticed the type of people around Durk. I told him, yo, this is them, just watch him, his crew. 50 said, sharing how he'd seen enough to know that loyalty isn't a guarantee in the game. 50's advice came after Durk mentioned his own worries about how certain people were showing up at his place, people he didn't even know.